Hey guys, welcome to episode 7 of the Nerdosophical podcast. I'm Sam.
I'm Casey.
I'm Methuselah.
I'm the Ginger.
I'm Brady.
And this week we are discussing our favorite books. So, I guess I'll start off since I started. I have 2 favorite books of all time. One of them is A Time to Kill, which isn't that well known of a John Grisham book, but it's amazing. It's set in like the 1970s, 60s or 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's about this, it has terrible content, but it's a great storyline. It's about this African-American man whose 10-year-old daughter is raped and beaten by 2 white rednecks. So the dad goes on a rampage and kills these 2 white rednecks, and then he gets put on trial for manslaughter, even though they would have gotten away with raping a little 10-year-old black girl. And it's actually a really good book, so I would recommend that to anyone. And my second book, which I feel like you guys will be able to discuss more with me, is Ender's Game. I love that book.
I was going to guess that.
I stole it from my 7th grade social studies teacher.
Nice.
Nope, 8th grade social studies teacher. His name was Mr. Sturm. Everybody hated him, and we got him fired. He was there for 1 year, and we got him fired.
Wow.
That was horrible.
It was great. He was a terrible teacher. But yeah, I stole it. It has SSR. Remember Silence
Sustained Reading.
I have it. Its SSR is stamped on the side of the pages.
Did you guys have that
I never
at Mesa
had that.
Public Schools
Yeah,
too?
we called it "Shut Up, Sit
I
Down,
had
and
it
Read."
once.
I think I'm too old for that program.
They just started it my last year.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
they're still doing it.
they still do it at Stapling.
No.
Yeah.
The worst thing I ever did to any of my teachers is we found out where one of them lived and we egged her house.
That's mean.
Oh.
She was evil.
Who was it?
Miss Metz.
Oh.
I liked her.
I couldn't stand her.
Mixed feelings about Miss Metz in the room today.
She was another reading teacher too, so it actually kind of goes along with the rest of the topics.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that went
Completely
to
on
Gilbert
that.
Public Schools, so...
Yeah. Well,
Well-
Brock went to.
I went to a private school for a while.
Oh, you're private school snub.
Yeah, I suppose.
At least he's not homeschooled.
I know, seriously.
No.
So Sam, I've heard you talk a lot about Ender's Game. What makes Ender's Game so special? Because I haven't read it.
It's amazing. But no, I've read it multiple times. I have it on my Audible app on my phone. Like, I listen to it consistently. I read it all the time. And it took me until about a year ago to figure out why it was called Ender's Game.
What?
I know! I know!
Oh.
I knew it was like, oh, it's Ender's Game, like they're messing with Ender, blah, 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 blah. But it didn't click that it's like that last game that he plays is Ender's Game. Like, it never clicked in my mind until about a year ago.
You know what happened? The movie, obviously...
The movie was terrible, but we agree to disagree on this one.
Yes.
This is Harrison
We've
Ford,
discussed
right?
this previously.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford and Viola Davis were amazing, and Ben Kingsley,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
he was
He was
amazing
also
in
in
it.
it.
But the kid's supposed to be like 6, and I know 6-year-olds can't act like that, but come on, at least give someone who's 10, not like 16.
So is that the only
Awesome
thing
butterfly.
wrong with it that you
No,
thought?
there's a lot of other things wrong with it in my mind.
Just plot holes that they...
Not really plot holes,
They
but
had to change the story a little bit
They
to make
changed
it
the
more
storyline.
filmable.
Yeah. Not all books
I
easily...
remember them setting it up for Ender's Shadow nearly as much as they should have.
they didn't. And I couldn't get into the rest of the Ender series. I tried. I tried to read every single book in the Ender series, and I just couldn't do it.
It's okay.
But I recommend Ender's Game to anyone who's looking for a good sci-fi. There are some chapters in there that you can skip. They're just totally useless. Like Valentine's Hers are just useless. They're so
Don't
not
need it.
pointless.
Yeah,
But-
I thought they added to the story when I read it.
They do,
But they're not essential.
they're
They're not
You could
essential, but they're
understand
still
it
good.
and skip them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the first time I read through it, I skipped over all of them, and I still thought it was really, really good. And then I read it again and read about half of her storyline. Next time I read 75% of it, and I read all of it, and it was good. But at the same time, what 14-year-old kid? Have you read the book? Okay. What?
Like 3 times.
A few times. what 14-year-old kid would be able to write well enough to convince adults that they're an adult?
Well,
As
Actually-
Demosthenes and Locke.
well, remember they were all like specially chosen children to be monitored and given special attention.
So they're like Asians?
Yeah.
A little bit racist, but they were
I'm
just
sorry, I love Asians. I'm sorry. I just think it's a fantastic comparison.
no, they were just the
They're very intellectual.
Yeah.
They're very intelligent. They're
These are
very
elite
capable
children.
students. I mean, these are people that they were monitoring to see whether or not they would use them to take back the universe,
Yeah.
essentially. So these children were not your average run-of-the-mill children. Your average child, no, I don't think could probably write at that level. But these children, you're probably looking at some elitist school where they started speaking 3 languages in preschool.
Got it.
They mold these kids.
Yeah.
Like, never mind.
yeah. So
Those are my 2 favorite books, and I would recommend them to anyone. And if you guys want to borrow a copy, I have both of them, and they are both on my Audible app.
See, I don't remember reading A Time to Kill except for for school in 8th grade.
I don't remember
So
reading
I
that.
think I
I
might
don't think
have
you
a
would.
copy.
I don't think you would read that book in 8th grade.
I don't know
Oh.
if they'd even assign it in school.
Yeah.
Probably.
No,
Yeah.
not as an assignment. I read 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea in 4th grade. I just pick up books and I read them. They are my drugs. So I think I
Pretty
probably
much.
read that book.
Do you want to borrow
in-
sometime?
I have
Once
other
you
books
have a
on my
life?
list. When I have a life again, yes, I would gladly read whatever
Or
books you throw my way.
I have it on my computer. I can drop it to you too.
You can do that. Yeah. Because I can do that while I work.
Yeah.
Be awesome.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so my drugs are my books. My books are my drugs. And so I have lots and lots of favorites. And it depends on which category of favorite that you get into, because to me this is just I can go every which direction with this. Are
That's
you talking
why I
about the
had to
books that I
narrow it
read the
down to
most?
all-time favorite.
All-time favorites? I mean, even then you're just at different points in my life I had different
Well,
favorite
right now.
books.
It's
It's
basically
the
what
second.
it's asking what's your favorite movie. It's the same kind of deal.
It's the same kind of deal. I have different movies depending on what moods I'm in.
Or your favorite song.
Favorite song.
Yeah,
I
you
have
still
different
have those-
attachments to different books.
You
Yeah.
still have those one favorites that stick out above the rest that you could pick up and watch anytime.
Like your
Or you
go-to
could
artist,
go to
or
read anytime.
yeah,
A band that if you don't feel like anything else but you're listening to music, you can go to them.
yeah.
Like the Beatles. They're always good no matter what. And Johnny Cash.
See, for me,
Always good no matter what.
Yes.
Sure.
But for me, a movie I could watch countless times is Gladiator or Troy. Like I
And
could
that way
pick
with
those up-
Inception.
Yeah, I could pick those up on a whim and watch them and not be disappointed, even though I've seen them both 30, 50, 40 plus times.
Nice.
So, what is your favorite book that you go back to consistently?
I have 2, and both of these books I've read over 100 times each.
Is one of them the Star Wars one?
One of them is
Darth Plagueis.
Plagueis. One of them is Darth Plagueis. I've read that one over
I
100
still
times.
need to read that. I have it on my Audible app.
The other one that I've read over 100 times is The Hobbit. Because
Really?
it was the first novel that I ever read. I read it in
Solid.
2nd grade,
Okay.
and it was just fantastic, amazing. I loved it, and I've read it at least once a year ever since then.
Oh wow.
It's a great story. I love all the metaphors that are in the story. I love his personal growth and development during the story. I love the adventures, and I love how the chapters are broken up into adventures, and so each one's kind of you can read it once a night or whatever, and you can go through these things. And it's not a boring read where it's oh, you have to get through 50 pages before you can get into any
Like
sort
Lord
of
of the Rings.
action.
Harry
Like
Potter.
the Lord of the Rings books are awful compared to The
They're
Hobbit.
so
They're
dry.
so dry.
Yeah.
But The Hobbit keeps action going the whole time. It's not like the Harry Potters where you have to read through 9 months of boring school stuff to get to the 2 days of adventure at the very end of the school year. It's got a very
I've never read
consistent
them.
up and down action to it. You got characters that are fun and easy to remember. They got personalities to them. You have a mythology and a storyline to it. You have storylines that are happening parallel to this that you don't ever hear about, but you can imagine what's going on. You have things that don't get answered, like questions about the 2 blue wizards, but never
2
get
blue wizards.
Yeah. So
Oh,
there's
and-
5 wizards. There's
Sorry,
Radagast.
I went back to
there's
Harry Potter because mine continued.
No, okay.
I was like,
Lord,
what?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings. There's 5 wizards,
Sorry,
and
yeah.
2 are blue, and they're gone, and you never hear about them.
And then there's Gandalf,
Gandalf,
Unless you read
Radagast.
the
Radagast.
What colors are the
Rings
other wizards?
encyclopedias.
brown,
This is
white,
probably a stupid question.
white.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Sauron in the books becomes the Wizard of Many Colors, and so he
But in
like
the movies, he's
yeah,
white.
in the movies he's white. I
If you
know.
think about it.
Oh no!
it's
He
sensible
started singing Joseph the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Oh, I love my coat of many colors.
Awful. Because
No,
even
it's
here's
not.
one.
No, it's awesome.
No.
Don't be dissing Donny Osmond.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Thank
I've
you,
never
Rob.
seen it.
Thank
Did you
you.
know
Never
he was
looked good.
45 when that movie was filmed? He looked great for 45.
Yes.
If
Just-
we could cover a podcast on
Yeah,
Joseph,
pretty
then
well.
Oh, we have like 4.
we would, yeah. It's fantastic.
So plan those when I'm not here.
We could cover musicals when you're not here.
Okay, because I've seen some musicals, but there's others that I don't care to see.
I've seen probably.
We will let you know. We will give you
even know.
We'll give you a heads
advance
Give me a
warning.
heads
up. Or
up.
we'll just climb down to a chair and make him listen to us.
Sit in the corner, you just hear, no.
No!
You hear the chair scooting across the
Yeah.
floor as he's trying to make it out the door.
Musicals
See?
are for those with souls only.
See, and I don't mind musicals. Like
Music is the language of the soul. So
It
if you don't
really
have
is.
one, you can't understand it.
well, see, and that's where it's probably true because I don't listen to music.
Yeah, which I was
Like,
going to mention.
I listen to
It
talk
totally
radio,
fits.
I listen to audiobooks, I listen to the news, I
I listen to sports radio.
listen to podcasts. I almost never listen to any kind of music, and if I do listen to music, it's usually like orchestral.
Orchestra.
Yeah, it's like orchestra or something,
Or the Glee that we're making you listen to.
or the Glee that you were making me listen to today.
Well, we spent
Making
30
us
minutes
all
doing
listen
At
to.
least 30 minutes.
But no, so I don't listen to music very often. But
See,
when
it fits.
we go into a musical, like I've seen Wicked,
that. So good.
which was
Wicked is good.
fantastic.
It was
I
really
loved
good.
it.
This guy right
I-
here, cried.
Oh, so sweet.
Shed a tear.
It's good.
That was more than one.
Alphabet is just so
It's
inspiring.
moving.
But that's the only professionally done
It's
musical
moving.
I've ever seen. I mean, I'm not going to count any high school musicals.
You're not
No.
gonna count State Play today?
What about High School
No.
Musical?
No.
Yeah, what about yes.
Let's not go there.
I like
Okay.
those movies.
As far as movies go, yeah, I did see the first High School Musical. I think I saw the second when he's on a golf course.
Yeah.
It's like super
favorite
emo.
song ever.
Just like, what the heck is
Oh,
going
it's
on?
so
What am I
good.
doing with my
Channeling his
life?
inner Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so good.
I've seen, what's it called? The guy with the face mask.
Phantom
Phantom
of the
of
Phantom
Opera.
of the Opera.
Oh, yes. We can tell you're very much into music.
And what's the other one?
I was thinking football when you
the
said
one
that.
with Wolverine.
Les Mis.
Les Mis. Yeah.
Which was pretty good.
So those, I've
Yeah.
seen all those.
You've seen the big productions.
What's the other one?
Hairspray?
Gallivant.
Gallivant.
Yeah.
Gallivant. Yeah, you got me on
Yes.
Gallivant. I like Gallivant.
It's like a musical
Hairspray, I think I've seen, and no, it's the one with the one actress.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
What,
it
Mamma
helps.
Mia?
Not Mamma Mia.
Grease.
Into the Woods.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the
With,
one with the
um,
one actress.
The one
Seriously.
actress, the really good actress. Oh, she was in
Meryl
Mamma Mia
Streep.
too. Yeah, she was in Mamma Mia
Chris
too.
Pine.
Yes, she was.
Good call, Brock.
She sings
I know my music.
quite a bit.
You know your musicals.
I wanted to see the new movie that she was in, the Ricky and the whatever.
So I
Oh, the guitar one?
Yeah.
I've seen several. I have an appreciation for them, but it's not my cup of tea.
Not a deep appreciation.
I don't have a deep appreciation.
This last weekend, my mom and I forced Mr. Casey here to watch Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
I enjoy that.
It's a good one.
It's classic.
I can appreciate it,
Never
but for
heard
me,
It's like 1950s.
Yeah.
so it's
It's
very
so
dated.
old.
It's very dated,
Oh.
and it takes place in the heart
Sound of
the
Music. I've
frontier.
seen half of it.
half of Sound of Music.
To show you how dated this is,
It was.
one of the main characters' name is Dorcas.
I do.
With all no, it's the girl.
Oh yeah.
It's that really
Oh
thin
yeah.
brunette.
Yeah.
And number 2,
Dorcas.
Dorcas. Yeah, no. Number 2, there's 7 brothers.
Mhm.
Each and every one of them has a Bible name. That would never fly now. Never.
Really?
It's like
Never.
Adam, Benjamin,
Caleb, Daniel, Ephraim, frankincense, and
and Gideon.
Gideon. His name is frankincense because he smells
Smells
so
so
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, that was my reaction.
How do we get on
Very
a
dated
musical?
musical. I can appreciate it, but I have to say Wicked's better.
The songs are so good.
Go Horton, go
How did we
Horton.
even get on musicals?
Tyler
I
did it.
don't know.
Yeah.
Listeners, this is our most ADD podcast yet, so
I
bear
only
with
sing
us.
I started with.
How
We
did we get
started
from
with
books
because of
to-
music.
How did we go
It went
to?
books to music to
No, to
musical.
films to music.
Yes.
I'm
To
still
music.
confused.
How do we get from The Hobbit? The Hobbit was beautiful.
I don't know.
How did we end
Oh,
up with-
I remember
I
because
don't
you were
know.
talking about he becomes the Wizard of Many Colors.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's singing Joseph.
It was
Oh.
my fault.
It's your fault.
We
I
traced
blame you.
the deviation back to Casey. He
So
did.
you're
terrible.
the ADD one, okay?
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys.
Alright.
But I
Anyways,
mean,
back to
what's
your
your
book.
books?
Favorite books?
Well, my favorite book?
Yes.
I have
Harry
to. I know
Potter.
you guys don't like Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter and
Oh,
the Half-Blood
excuse me?
Prince.
Did you say we don't like Harry Potter?
I'm
As
the
far
one
as
who doesn't like
the
Harry
all the
Potter.
backstory
Says
before
he
you
doesn't
get
like
to
Harry
the
Potter.
action.
I enjoy the Harry Potter.
I love the Harry Potter.
I've read the whole
See,
series at
I think
least
it's just
3
me
times.
and Braden who, don't like the fact that it takes a long time to set it up.
I enjoy
I've
the
read
setup.
every single one of those books over 50 times each. I've gotten
Yeah.
to the point where you could read me a line and I could tell you what the next line is. Like, I love the book. I don't like how it takes forever to get into the book.
Yeah. So my favorite is the Half-Blood Prince. I love
So good.
the detail in that book. Granted, it's not as long as the Order of the Phoenix, which is almost 900 pages.
Oh my gosh, the books are
That one's hard to get.
That's a very difficult book to get through. But
900
Half-Blood
pages.
Prince,
It's so long.
I loved how it just really delved
Wait till we
into
get to my favorite.
Tom Riddle's backstory, and you had so many different memories that Harry and Dumbledore were tracing back to his childhood, and just really trying to dig deeper at the Horcruxes, and you see that Dumbledore ultimately loses his life. Granted, we
Spoiler
learned.
alert.
Granted, they should have read Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Or at
Granted,
least watch the movies. I mean, it's been how many years?
Yeah.
I'm
That
just
one's been out
saying.
for a long
For the
time.
younger audiences who their parents
True.
may want them to wait until they're 12 years old so they can do a whole Harry Potter themed adolescence, that was a very big spoiler.
but granted, it was
Get
all.
over yourself.
They should have had it spoiled by now anyway.
It's like my next door neighbors that couldn't watch Power Rangers when they were kids. You just need to get over it.
How could you not watch Power Rangers?
I didn't
too
like
violent.
Power Rangers.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, it's all good. So I love Tom Riddle's backstory, and I also love the emergence of Snape, really as a character. I think you actually probably see it more in the next
Can
book.
we talk about
Yeah.
something in Harry Potter?
Sure.
Okay.
The relationships, the emergence of, obviously the affection between Ginny and Harry.
Moving
Silence,
on.
but yeah.
We're
No,
just
I mean-
moving on from my conversation. That'll get moved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I loved Professor Slughorn. He was probably one of my favorite characters. In the series, I thought he was just fantastic, and I thought that the film
He was
the
cast really well.
he was cast very well in the film. The film, although didn't really, is probably one of my least favorite films in the sense that it left out so much of the pensive, the memories, from the Riddle house, and I think it was the Riddle house, but they go back to Tom's parents, and it left out so many of those memories that they could have really broken it down into 2 movies, but I just, I loved that book. It's still, I don't read a lot, as you guys know, but it's still one of my favorite books, and it still holds up for me. I've read it probably 4 or 5 times,
Yeah.
at least.
Hold that thought for a second. going back to musicals, Slughorn, is he the one that plays Ziegler or whatever in Moulin Rouge? Okay,
Yes.
continue.
Correct. Another great musical.
Great musical.
Never seen it, never heard of
It
it.
is Nicole Kidman. It is Ewan
Ewan
McGregor.
and he sings
He's so
exceptionally
good.
well.
So good.
Yeah. Obi-Wan has pipes.
Still have no desire to watch it.
Still don't.
I'm with Tyler on the whole musical thing.
We're gonna tie you guys to a chair and make you watch Moulin Rouge sometime because it's
Yes.
actually really good.
We
I'm
should
trying
do
to
it.
watch them. I've been trying to watch Les Miserables.
That's a
but
hard one to get through for your first
Brock
one.
only has the old one
Really,
on
really
our
long
system. I watched the
movie.
whole old one.
Les Mis, I was very, and Sam's gonna probably punch me in the gut, but I was a little bit
Brace for
unimpressed
it.
listening to the soundtrack.
I
It
enjoyed
was
the
very,
soundtrack.
it was,
We listened to the 25th anniversary soundtrack.
Oh,
I
that's like
enjoyed
the best
soundtrack,
one.
So.
a little unimpressed.
It's
but-
amazing.
Anyway,
So,
Brock, what's your favorite?
Favorite book? I have two. One would be one that I actually just read quite recently, and it is a graphic novel entitled Superman Unchained.
Oh,
Scott Snyder.
Yeah, I've heard of this one.
It's one of the better, it's probably the best Superman story written ever,
Mm-hmm.
because it's one of the few times where he actually is an interesting character and the story really pulls you in. It helps that the artwork is also amazing.
Is
It's
it
penciled
newer
by
or
Jim
older?
Lee,
Mm-hmm.
who's probably my favorite comic book artist currently.
Is it newer or older?
It's new. It just released last year
So
in
I don't
pieces. There's only
Is-
9 of them out right now.
Is this the one where they give Superman his newest power?
Yes.
They
Yeah.
give him a power.
Yeah. Well,
He's
always
develops-
quote unquote had the
he's
power.
developed a new
But
power.
it's
just
a
calls
new
it different.
canon power, as in like, it's not one of the ones from like the 1930s where
That
you
are
can do all these
absurd.
stuff that are
those
just absurd.
happened. We could have a whole
But they are not
podcast on
canonized.
those.
They're not
So they are not
canonized.
recognized by
They're
me.
not spanning multiple universes. Okay, they're,
So what new
They
power?
So
still
what's his
exist.
power?
he basically like goes supernova and explodes, and all of a sudden energy leaves his body, and then he's like mortal for a day or two afterwards.
Has to get recharged.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Pretty crazy. It's a really good story though.
I still prefer the power where he makes miniature Supermans.
No, we will not get into any of
No.
those ridiculous powers.
Okay.
That was a dark day for comics.
It was a dark day for comics.
So-
But it's interesting to, talk about Superman, because Superman original idea was like a floating head
Yes.
in like
He's developed
Metropolis.
quite a bit
He
over
with psychic powers.
years,
Like he
yes.
used to be bald, he used to be a floating head, he used
so
to have
was
psychic
like, what's his face
powers.
from X-Men?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just basically was the deity of this city and just like floated around and did stuff.
That would have.
And that would
Nice.
have not have
No.
worked. And so they came up
It
with
was
new
boring.
incarnations, and then he could jump really high, and then he got to fly.
Yeah,
So
like
he's
radiation.
developed over the years.
Yeah.
And this is just the newest canon power that's going to keep showing back up.
Yes.
What's your other one?
But very well done. My other one is also a graphic novel, and it's The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, released in the early 1980s. And it's what they're loosely basing the Batman vs. Superman movie off of that comes out
okay.
next year.
Yeah.
So you're prepared for them to destroy your comic book and movie form?
Well, Frank Miller is involved in the whole process, so I'm hoping that they'll get it right. The story is really good, so they'd have to try really hard to mess it up. So I have hopes that it will actually be a decent film.
Do you like Zack Snyder as a?
I don't really like Zack Snyder,
No.
but I'm hoping that since he's got a story to work with, that it might
See,
actually be better since
Okay.
he's not coming up with it himself.
On a
Okay.
related note, because I remember hearing recently that they're going to be doing the Killing Joke.
Yes, that
And
What's
that
the
is
Killing
want to be one of my favorite
is Killing
story
Joke
arcs.
is another great.
And so when I heard that they were going to turn it into a movie, I was very, very hesitant because I was like, is this going to be just like my books where they destroyed them?
Well, but
because
this is an animated movie though, and the DC animated movies are typically
They're
pretty good.
okay. Yeah.
They're at least okay. Sometimes they're fantastic.
yeah, but
And Mark Hamill is voicing the Joker.
Yeah?
And he's like the best Joker voice ever.
He's
okay.
been it for a long
He's
So
not
I'll
the
be
whole time.
quietly optimistic, kind of like the whole Disney and Star Wars thing. Is like I've been relatively pleased as we've moved forward through this, but I'm still just optimistic. I'm not holding out for greatness at this point.
For all of you non-ridiculous nerds like me out there, I had no idea that Mark Hamill has voiced the Joker for so long.
I didn't until I moved
For
to New
years.
York.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he did it starting back with the Batman the animated series in the
Isn't it like
early 90s.
late 90s, right? Or early 90s?
Early 90s.
Yeah.
He's the Joker that I grew up with. He was a really good Joker.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't because it doesn't sound like
It doesn't sound
him
interesting.
Sadly
at
enough,
all.
the generation, under us probably knows him more for that because they watch the prequels and not the original Star Wars films.
Yeah.
But I digress, whatever.
What about you, Braden?
So, kind of like Brock, I have two favorites, but mine aren't graphic novels. My favorite book is The Way of Kings. It's a series, but I haven't gotten into any of the other parts. So, just the one book alone is extremely well written. It's huge. I think it was 1,200 pages.
Oh, damn.
I think so.
Yeah. I listened to it first on audiobook, and it was I think it was 45 hours long, 48 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
I
long.
finished it in a week.
So every idle chance you got, you were listening to it.
I had to listen to it all day at work.
Yeah.
Didn't have to put up with the people that I worked with. It made it nice. But it's a really good story,
Yeah.
and there's nothing really that compares to compare
No.
the story to. It's really unique. It's set kind of medieval times, but not really.
Yeah, you can't ever really
And-
tell with his books exactly
Yeah.
what the time period is.
So it's like
He's a really good author. So,
No, because they've got a lot more elements to it, like shards, which are magical, enchanted weapons that are like gifts from the gods.
yeah, he goes really in depth with the world
Yeah.
he creates.
And it's just a huge world. But he has 2 books out. I think it's going to be a trilogy.
I think so. Yeah, the
But-
third one's supposed to release late next year, I think.
And all of his books are massive. Like the second book, I bought that one. I haven't read it yet.
But it's even more.
I
It's
gotta go
like
back and read the first
1,400
one,
pages
but yeah,
or something.
It's 1,500 pages.
Jeez.
Yeah, he writes
I thought the Order of the
epic-
Phoenix was long.
epic
Yeah.
novels.
But they're good books. Like,
He has shorter
he's very
series
wordy.
though that you can read if you want to delve into his writing. Mistborn is really good, and that's
Yeah.
only like 350 pages or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot
So
shorter.
I'll let you know when I have a life again,
But
and I will
Sanderson,
surrender it
he's
to
amazing.
books. And just
Yes.
try and live.
Yes, it's worth
I
it.
would recommend it. I have it if you want to ever borrow it.
I will eventually. I'm still borrowing a book from you right now that I need to get back to you. I think.
Are you?
Yeah. It's the C.S. Lewis book, The Problem with Pain.
Oh, that's a gem one.
Yes. I really like it so
C.S.
far.
Lewis.
I had to pace myself though, because he writes it at a university level
Yes.
dialogue.
Oh,
Yeah, that whole series that he did, that was all like that. Like the screw tape letters.
Uh-huh. Screw Tape Letters I got on audiobook, and it was a little bit easier to hear them spoken out loud because they're like letters, and so it was easier to listen to it like that and kind of get meaning out of it.
Yes.
But I love C.S. Lewis. He's got good stuff.
Oh yeah, he's a
But-
great author.
My second favorite would be a series, and it's the Fate of the Jedi series.
Oh, Star Wars.
Okay.
Which is now Star Wars Legend instead of being Extended Universe. Which upset me because I love that series.
That was a really well written series.
And excluding the comics, I think it was the latest in the timeline.
Yeah.
Which I'm fairly certain it was the latest in the timeline.
Yeah, it was.
And it covers Luke Skywalker's still head of the Jedi, but he's really old.
Yeah,
He
Okay.
can still hold his own.
He's
though.
like old Ben old.
Yeah.
So purportedly, kind of like how he's going to be in The Force Awakens, this mentor kind of figure with the beard.
No, because he still is an active part of the Jedi Order, like major leader. He's the
Well, maybe not quite that.
well, he's the Grand Master in the
Like
series.
that old.
Yeah.
So he's not quite that old, but he has a son, Ben Skywalker,
Okay.
named after Kenobi.
Awesome.
He's probably 16, 17 in the books.
Yeah.
But it
Unwise
covers
kids.
what is that evil thing's name? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Been too long
they
since I
discover a
finished
great
that.
evil. There's the legend of these three gods, and they had a babysitter that was chaos.
Yes.
That held them in the water and stuff.
Oh, they did a episode on that in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did address it.
Because in the
yeah.
book they talk about how Anakin visited them
Uh-huh.
and he killed them.
So
Yeah.
it is canon or
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not because it was put
Yeah.
into legend. It should be
So
canon.
that specific
The series as a whole
storyline
is
is
not.
not canon.
But the three.
But the three deities
They
are
are,
canon
because
because
they were in
they're in
Clone
the Clone
Wars.
Wars.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it covers like that whole thing and how just messed up the Galactic Republic gets because this one evil deity is released from her prison.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember her name, but I
It's a lot
can't.
of books. How was
Yeah,
it,
it was
like
9
books?
9 books,
Yeah, they were
Wow.
good.
but they weren't long books. They
No.
were-
A couple hundred pages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If that.
I mean it took.
They weren't hard reads.
Each one was maybe an
either.
8-hour listen if you were to listen to it.
Oh, that's pretty short.
Yeah, they're not big,
It wasn't bad.
but
Good series though.
it was really good. Reintroduces the Sith,
Mm-hmm.
like true Sith.
Nice. Love the Sith.
Yeah. I need to read some more
Ben
Star Wars
falls in love
books.
with one of them. And
Ben
then-
falls in love with the Sith.
Yeah, because they like rescue her, take her captive, and she starts to kind of see the light side, but at the end she just abandons it and stays with the Sith and
Oh.
crushes him.
Can we talk about a tragic storyline like Asajj Ventress? Oh, she's just an amazing, amazing person, and
Still not as tragic as Anakin and Padme.
No, that was a.
Still not quite
If it
as
was
tragic.
better written, it would have been tragic. But
yeah, if it was better written, it would have been tragic. Right now, it was just a stupid mistake.
yeah, the series introduced me to some of my favorite extended universe Jedi. What's her name? Saba 17.
Uh-huh.
Amazing. A Barabel Jedi.
Yeah.
She's hilarious. She was Leia's master. Trained Leia in the Force. So, great series. I wish it was still
The
canon.
Wikipedia page doesn't say what the name
It
is.
starts with an A.
It just says it's the most lethal and insidious
I can find it if I
threat to
look
ever
it up.
plague the Jedi for over a millennia.
That's awesome.
I kind of remember that one though.
It was originally going to be called Star Wars Odyssey because it has to do with the similar elements as the
Star Wars
Greek
Odyssey.
myth of
Mhm.
Odysseus.
Well, I'm trying to remember it now because there's the whole mythology behind them and how the father was like a gray because he was in between the two because he had drank from a fount, and then he'd also used a dagger or something like that. I don't remember what the other one was, but he used these two mythical items which gave him like dominance over the two sides of the Force. And then he had a daughter and a son, and the son used the dagger and the daughter used the fount or drank from the fount, and so she became light side, he became dark side, and they weren't able to understand that they needed both to be like supreme being like their father was, and they had to have someone to watch over them because they had kind of like started warring with each other, and that's where chaos came in. and then Anakin killed the kids, and the dad died because of the
Found it.
thing, and so that she was left alone there, and then she escapes later from their like dimension, I guess, between like 3 black holes. And
Yeah, that's
That's-
still the same way in Fate of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Between 3 black holes. Her name's Abeloth.
Yes.
Oh, I
And
was
she
so
can
close.
take the form of a woman because, well, she doesn't really take the form of a woman. She tricks you into seeing her as a woman, but she's really this like tentacled beast of doom.
Cthulhu.
She plays
Yeah,
tricks.
she's disturbing and crazy.
Yeah.
But we've knocked Sam out with boring topics.
We bored her to sleep.
Well, when she was falling asleep before the podcast, it was pretty bad.
That's true.
Is there any other books that you guys have always very fond of?
Well,
I stick.
I can talk about books all evening long because I can get really into books. Like I love the Harry Potter series, and it will always be with me because I grew up at the same time as Harry Potter.
That's with me.
Um,
That's the one series, well, apart from like Hunger Games and some of those other, dystopian or sci-fi
Yeah.
universes. That,
A good series that almost nobody's heard about is the Dark Jenny series. I don't know the name of the actual series, but the first book in it's called Dark Jenny. It's a medieval, detective book.
Mhm.
He goes around trying to figure out this murder, and it leads him further into more troubles, and he has to find out more. It's really interesting.
Mhm.
I think it's 5 books,
Mhm.
but it takes place in the Middle Ages, and he's trying to solve a murder.
Yes. Going back-
Sherlock Holmes-ish, except for ancient times.
Just going back to Harry Potter, isn't there a new series? I don't know. I don't really follow J.K. Rowling much, but I know there's supposed to be about an American wizard, some kind of novel, or maybe it's a film that's coming out.
I
that-
didn't hear about an American wizard. I heard about
She
her
said
going
there
back
was
in
a-
time.
She said
to
there was a
deal-
wizarding school in America. It was just like some random announcement she made, but
Yeah, she does that randomly.
But is there something coming out? Is there?
there's a new movie coming out, but it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's a
It doesn't.
prequel story.
Yeah, it's a prequel story. It's,
It's
going to be
about
about
the,
James Potter and
So it is-
and
No, it's the dude that wrote the book that they use in Hagrid's class.
Oh.
Magical creatures?
Magical creatures and where to find them or whatever.
Oh no, I thought she was
It's the
writing
wizard
a
bits.
prequel about James Potter.
Oh, I don't
Could
know.
be
The
out,
movie
though.
that's coming out is about the
The
guy who goes
magic,
around
yeah.
discovering the
I
magical
would-
creatures.
I would very much enjoy a prequel about James Potter and that whole, especially with
Check my sources because I could have swore I heard that from someone.
It's possible.
about
Possibly, I don't know. I don't follow it.
I would enjoy something that focuses
No
on like
desire.
Padfoot, Wormtail, Moody.
Yeah.
Who's it? I don't even know. It tells you
Prongs.
Prongs, yeah. I think that'd be wonderful if she did that.
Mhm. Did you guys ever hear of the Pendragon series?
Yes.
I've heard
What is
of
it?
it.
10-book series. I had to wait forever because it's a long series, and I remember like the first book came out when I was in 3rd grade, and I read it back then, but I kind of lost track of it, and then got back into it probably when I was 18, and was reading through them again, and it was just a great series with a terrible, terrible ending.
Huh.
So I love it all the way up until book 9, and then you can just not read it. In book 10, I was like, what the heck is even happening anymore? So, good series. Read up to book 9, and then just
This is
Yeah,
what,
just
Pendragon you
stop.
said?
Stop.
Pendragon?
Pendragon.
That's like
Okay.
the Artemis Fowl series. Like it was good
Oh,
up
yeah.
until like
Yeah.
book 5 or 6, and then it just dropped off.
My brother read those, I believe.
I loved them
Why?
until you got past a certain point, and it's just
I-
like this is enough.
I heard that's how the Inheritance trilogy was, because I read up to Eldest. The first 2 I read, Aragon and Eldest. And I heard the
I
last
liked
2.
all of them.
Okay, so
I read them all.
I kind of feel like he shot himself in the foot when he made the movie. Like,
Yeah.
it killed his fans.
Like you said, it
Yes.
killed the series.
Killed the series. It really
Not just
did.
the
And then
movie.
he did a lot of mistakes with it because it was originally going to be a trilogy, and so
Yeah, because it was called the Inheritance
it was
Trilogy.
called
and
the
then-
Inheritance Trilogy, and then it wasn't a trilogy; it was a cycle. But it became a lot of issues right all at the same time, because right as it was becoming a cycle instead of a trilogy was when the movie came out, and then
Yeah.
it was just like people wanted it to be over because it was all bad all around. And so I love the books; they're really good books. I've
thought
read
Eldest
through the
was
books
fantastic.
many times. The last book, what is it called, Brissinger?
I think
Inheritance.
that was the third one. Yeah,
Inheritance is the
Inheritance
fourth.
is the fourth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it goes.
Zinger was 3.
Yeah. So it goes through them all. I like them all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I really like how it ends. It's kind of unique in the way it ends and whatnot. It wraps everything up fairly well.
I enjoyed Eldest because if I remember correctly, it's been a few years since I've read the book, but it focuses on not Aragon. Aragon, because his dragon's name's Saphira, right?
Yeah.
So it goes back and forth between Aragon and Rowan,
Mhm.
or Rowan.
They'll keep doing that.
His cousin, right?
Yeah.
And I enjoyed how they kind of just alternated back and forth, and eventually they kind of, I don't know, I sound really naive because I haven't read it in such a long time, but they just kind of eventually all meet at the end, right? And there's this battle and
Yeah.
And Murtaugh also.
Murtaugh, yeah. And don't they go to
Um,
the Elven place? They go to the Elven city.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, because that's where
Elven.
he's doing his trainings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think the pacing slows way down in his other books. In the first book, it's pretty quick paced. You move through it really quickly. There's a lot of action going through.
It was really short
And
too. Though,
it was
compared
really
to the
short
other ones.
compared to the other ones. And then in Eldest, he's doing a lot of learning and a lot of studying,
Slow
and it
for a long
slows a
time.
lot.
I guess I enjoy
slows
slower
way
books.
down.
I don't know.
And then Brissinger and the last one were back into a little bit of a war type thing. So there was quite a bit of action, but there was still a lot of internal conflict and a lot of moving from one place to another place and talking about making deals with this, that, and whatnot. And so, I don't know, the pacing slows way down because the books got longer. He had to do a lot more detail. And I understand he had to wrap it up the way that he wanted to wrap it up, but I think progressively it's all a good read. The way he did it and the way he spaced his books and the movie coming at the time that it did, it really shot
Poorly
the
timed.
series in the foot. It's a great series in and of itself, but then it just kind of like it ran its course and it was meh.
Yeah.
I only saw the movie. I never actually read the books.
Yeah, I
didn't
just
like the movie.
the movie didn't John Malkovich play Galbatorix? I'm pretty
Yes.
sure he did.
Yes, he did.
Yes, I
yes,
forgot
he did.
about that.
And that
Oh.
you couldn't have. I mean, I don't think of John Malkovich when I think of the evil king or what? King? Is it king?
I
Yeah, he's a king.
love him in Red.
Yes, he's so good. in
That was
Red.
that was a good film.
Yeah, I don't think the
But-
casting was really the problem with that
No.
movie. It was the dialogue.
It was the dialogue.
The script
it was
overall was
awful.
bad.
I mean, they didn't even really hold to the plot,
direction
and they
was
didn't have
bad.
any idea where it was going, and so they kind of ruined some setups for future books and everything.
Ruined
It just
everything pretty
just
much.
messed everything up.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up with our discussion on books and novels today.
We'll have
Um,
more podcasts on specific books, like the Hunger Games is coming out here pretty soon, so we'll have to talk about Hunger Games and the books and the movies and everything. So.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely add that in between our journey to the Force Awakens. And speaking of which, we will be diving into that again next week with Episode 2, Attack of the Clones,
Yay.
which I think we...
There's so much excitement in this room, I can't even contain it.
It is the worst of the 6 movies.
it's
far.
do we all
Like-
the consensus here
Oh,
is
yeah.
that Sam, I'll speak on behalf of her. No,
She's out cold. So
so yeah,
It's horrid.
So we'll
Watching
be
paint dry is almost better.
we'll be breaking that down. We'll,
I think
Yeah, probably it's the worst.
it's the worst in my mind by like not even a contest.
But
Oh yeah. There's
okay,
miles.
so
There's miles between that and episode 1.
maybe we should save this
Miles.
for next week. But I don't want to necessarily jump the gun here and say it wasn't as horrible as we make it out to be. It was bad.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like
But
episode
it's-
1. It had its bright moments. It really did.
I wouldn't even say it had bright moments. I mean, that's taking it a little far. But
The
it's
space
not,
battle.
It's not as bad as like the movie Noah or
No.
the movie.
Oh, there's definitely worse
like,
movies.
there's
No, but we're
definitely
comparing
we're-
it in the Star Wars.
We're comparing it in the context.
We're just looking at the 6
of
films.
the 6 Star Wars movies only.
It was
Yeah.
atrocious.
If we're talking about it in general, then yeah, it's not. It's not as
Okay.
horrible as lots of other things.
Well,
out
then
there.
I put it just
I
beneath
Frankenstein.
episode 1 because Jar Jar ruined episode 1 for me. And the Clone Wars, while bad CGI graphics, it did have more of a plot and following around Camino and all this other stuff.
Save it for next week. We don't want to give up too much.
So yeah, we're gonna approach it very similarly to how we approached the Phantom Menace, in the sense that we will pick an assortment of scenes, probably 8 again, I'm assuming, even including the lovely sand scene. Maybe.
So cool.
Stay tuned.
So smooth. It gets everywhere.
Um,
Shut up, Anakin.
so we'll have some analysis and we'll give our thoughts on those scenes, break them down, discuss them.
If you want us to talk about a specific scene, then let us know.
Yes,
I think
viewers.
Still, no one's commented on anything ever. I know you're listening, so just type something.
We can see that people listen.
We know you're listening.
There
We
are
know what you
views.
did last week. You listened to our podcast.
Unless it's all Tyler just putting it on repeat.
That's what I do. You know.
No, he doesn't have time for that. Otherwise, maybe he would do something like that.
Well, I do listen to our podcast, so maybe Anonymous will be dropping in one of his favorite scenes. Wink, wink. So yeah, guys, leave us a comment. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Nerdosophical. We also have a blog, nerdosophical.wordpress.com.
How do you spell nerdosophical? I'm not an English
Exactly
person.
how it sounds.
Nerd,
N-E-R-
and then O.
O-sophical,
and then
not nerd-esophical.
No.
Nerd-o-sophical.
We should probably start emphasizing the O.
Nerdosophical.
But yeah, we look forward to doing the Journey to the Force Awakens, continuing that next week with Attack of the Clones, and we hope you guys enjoyed our cast today, and we will see you all next week.
See you later.
Adios.
See ya.
Bye.